You want to win your day, you want to conquer your goals, break limits, and feel unstoppable, then you got to start your day like a champ. Because listen, how you start determines how you finish. Every single morning, you're either setting yourself up to dominate or to just survive. And you weren't born to survive, you were born to lead, to create, to win. Let me tell you something powerful. Your morning is the foundation of your greatness. Champions don't roll out of bed hoping today goes well. They decide it will. They rise with energy, purpose, and intention. They don't wait for motivation. They generate it. And you can do the same. The difference between an average day and a powerful one starts with that very first moment when your alarm goes off. Do you hit snooze or do you rise with fire? Every morning is a battle between comfort and growth. And the truth, comfort never built a legacy. Comfort never created champions. You've got to train yourself to attack the day before it attacks you. Because when you own your morning, you own your life. So let's talk about what a champion's morning looks like. It's not just about habits. It's about state. Before you even check your phone, before you look at the world, you center yourself, you breathe, you focus. You visualize the day you want to create, not the day that just happens to you, the day you design, because the world responds to the energy you bring. If you wake up in chaos, you'll attract chaos. But if you wake up in clarity, you'll move mountains. Champions understand that the morning isn't about reacting, it's about creating momentum. They move their body, they feed their mind, they prime their emotions. They step into gratitude, power, and focus. Because when you start your day strong, challenges shrink. You don't chase energy, you become energy. Maybe you've had mornings where you felt tired, distracted, maybe even lost. That's okay, we've all been there. But today, this very moment, you can decide that enough is enough. You can flip the switch. You can choose to become the kind of person who wakes up ready. Because that's what champions do. They decide before the world decides for them. Imagine this, you wake up tomorrow, and instead of reaching for your phone, you reach for your potential. You stretch, you breathe, you remind yourself who you are and what you're made of. You say to yourself, today, I'm not waiting for opportunities. I'm creating them. You move with power. You walk with certainty. You speak with intention. And by the time the rest of the world is waking up, you're already 10 steps ahead. That's the secret. Momentum, once you build it, it becomes unstoppable. But it starts with that first decision, how you start your day. Champions don't have different DNA. They just have different habits. They don't wait for the perfect morning, they create it. So from now on, when your alarm goes off, don't think about sleep. Think about purpose. Don't think about what's hard. Think about what's possible. Your body will follow your mind, and your mind will follow your focus. This is your moment to rise, to shift from excuses to execution, to step out of hesitation and into hunger, to stop wishing and start doing. Every sunrise is an invitation to start over stronger, to build discipline, energy, and confidence that carry you through everything else. So tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, remember this, you're not waking up to your problems, you're waking up to your power. You're not waking up to another ordinary day, you're waking up to your destiny. Start your day like a champ, because when you do, there's not a single force on this planet that can stop you. When you master your morning, you master your life, because the first moments of your day are not just habits, they are declarations of who you are becoming. The way you rise is the way you live. Most people roll out of bed in a fog, already behind, already reacting to the world. They grab their phone, check their messages, scroll through other people's lives before even stepping into their own. But a champion knows that the morning is sacred, that those first few minutes are the foundation on which the rest of the day is built. When you master your morning, you take control of your destiny before the world tries to claim it. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. The morning gives you a chance to decide who you will be before the chaos of the day decides it for you. When you wake up and take the first conscious breath, you have a choice to drift or to direct. Champions don't drift. They create a rhythm, a routine, a ritual that sets their mind and body in alignment with their purpose. They don't let their emotions dictate the day. They dictate their emotions. They prime their mind with gratitude, their body with movement, their heart with vision, because they understand that energy is built, not found. You don't wait to feel ready. You become ready by taking control of your state from the very start. Your morning is a mirror of your discipline. When you master it, you prove to yourself that you can lead your emotions, your focus, and your life. Think about it. How many days have slipped through your fingers because you started them in distraction, in rush and autopilot? Every one of those days was a missed opportunity to build momentum, to claim control, to move closer to your dreams. But the moment you start to master your morning, everything shifts. Suddenly you're not reacting to life, You're directing it. You wake up with purpose, and that purpose becomes fuel. The noise of the world fades, and your inner voice becomes louder. You start to see your goals clearly, your priorities sharpen, your energy rises. You begin to attract opportunities instead of chase them because you're vibrating at a higher level of clarity and certainty. Mastering your morning doesn't mean you have to follow a rigid checklist. It means you develop habits that serve your mission. For some, it's meditation or journaling. For others, it's intense physical movement, visualization, or powerful affirmations. What matters is that you do something that raises your state, focuses your mind, and connects you with the version of yourself you're striving to become. The champion version of you doesn't stumble into the day. They design it with intention. That's what mastery looks like. Not control over everything that happens, but command over how you show up. When you master your morning, you're sending a message to yourself and to the universe, I'm in charge here. That message ripples through every decision, every conversation, every opportunity. You start the day ahead, not because life gets easier, but because you've become stronger. Your focus becomes your weapon. Your calm becomes your edge. And the things that used to throw you off your path no longer hold the same power over you. The small victories you earn in those quiet hours, waking up early, following through, staying consistent, build an inner confidence that nothing can shake. The truth is, the quality of your morning determines the quality of your momentum. You can't have an extraordinary life built on ordinary mornings. You can't expect to create greatness if you wake up scattered and reactive. You need to build rituals that ignite you, that make you feel alive, that connect you to your mission. When you master your morning, your mind is sharper, your emotions are steadier, your decisions are stronger. You carry that energy in everything else you do. You walk differently, speak differently, think differently. People feel it when you enter a room because you've already done the inner work before the world demanded it of you. And yes, it's not always easy. There will be mornings where the bed feels like a magnet, where your mind tries to negotiate with your potential, where comfort whispers louder than purpose. But mastery isn't about never struggling. It's about choosing discipline even when it's hard. It's about getting up when your body says no and your dreams say yes. That's the difference between those who live reactively and those who live powerfully. When you own your morning, you prove to yourself that you can do what you said you would, and that builds trust with yourself. That trust becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes unstoppable momentum. Think of every morning as a rehearsal for greatness. You're conditioning your mind to focus, your body to act, your emotions to align. Each morning you master, you reinforce the identity of a leader, a creator, a warrior. You don't wake up to see what happens. You wake up to make things happen. You're not waiting for life to give you permission. You're taking it. The way you start is the way you live. If you start weak, distracted, or unprepared, the day will match your energy. But if you start focused, grateful, and determined, the day bends in your favor. Mastering your morning is not about time. It's about intention. You can transform your life with even 15 minutes of purpose. 15 minutes of clarity can beat hours of chaos. Because in those moments, you are training your subconscious mind that you are in control, that your goals matter, that your time is sacred. You're not just waking up early, you're waking up to your power. Every morning that you rise with purpose is another vote for the person you're becoming. Those votes add up day after day until your entire identity shifts from trying to doing, from hoping to owning. When you master your morning, you learn to operate from intention instead of reaction. You learn to bring your best self to every challenge, every relationship, every opportunity. You stop chasing motivation and start living with momentum. You start feeling proud of how you show up, not just for others, but for yourself. Because when you wake up strong, you move through life strong. And that strength compounds. It becomes your identity, your confidence, your power. Master your morning, and you will master your emotions. Master your emotions, and you will master your actions. Master your actions, and you will master your destiny. Because your morning is not just the beginning of your day, it's the foundation of your life. Every sunrise gives you another chance to rise higher, think clearer, and live bolder. The question is not whether the morning will shape you. The question is whether you will shape it. Energy is a decision, not a condition. Because the truth is, most people live their lives waiting to feel ready, waiting for motivation to appear, waiting for energy to magically rise out of nowhere. But that's not how champions operate. They don't wait for energy. They create it. Energy isn't something that happens to you. It's something you generate from within. It's not dependent on perfect circumstances, the right mood, or the ideal time. It's a choice you make the moment you wake up, the decision to step into power instead of fatigue, focus instead of distraction, momentum instead of mediocrity. You decide how much energy you bring to your life, your work, your relationships, your goals, because the source of that energy is your mindset, your emotions, and your physiology working in alignment with your purpose. Think about the moments in your life when you felt unstoppable. You weren't waiting for someone to hand you motivation. You were driven by something deeper. That spark didn't come from comfort. It came from commitment. It came from deciding that no matter how you felt, you were going to show up. That's what energy truly is, a reflection of what you've decided to believe about yourself and your life. If you tell yourself you're tired, unmotivated, drained, your body listens. But if you decide that you are full of energy, that you are alive, powerful, unstoppable, your body responds to that command. The human body is an energy-producing machine, and the mind is the switch that turns it on or off. When you master that switch, you control the energy you bring to every moment. You can't always control your circumstances, but you can always control your state. That's the power of decision. The difference between someone who thrives and someone who barely gets through the day isn't luck. It's the standard they've set for their energy. Champions understand that energy is strategy. They use movement, breath, and focus to shift their state instantly. When they feel low, they don't surrender to it, they change it. They get up, move their body, take a deep breath, focus their mind on gratitude or victory, and their entire physiology changes. Because motion creates emotion, and emotion fuels energy. The moment you move with power, you start to feel powerful. The moment you decide to smile, to straighten your posture, to take control of your breath, your brain receives the message that you are alive, alert, and ready to perform. People often say they're exhausted, but what they're really experiencing is emotional depletion, not physical exhaustion. They're tired of the noise, the negativity, the lack of purpose. Energy doesn't come from caffeine or sleep alone. It comes from meaning. When you live with purpose, when you're connected to something that excites you, something that matters to you, energy flows naturally. You've probably noticed this yourself. When you're passionate about something, you don't need to be pushed, you're pulled. You forget the time, you forget the fatigue because your energy is being generated by your why. That's the secret of sustained energy. It's fueled by purpose, not circumstance. You could have slept 5 hours and still feel unstoppable if you're emotionally engaged in what you're doing. Energy is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained. The more you practice controlling your focus and your physiology, the faster you can access high energy states. You can wake up tired and choose to rise strong. You can step into a room drained and choose to radiate confidence. You can face problems and choose to meet them with power instead of fear. Every time you make that choice, you strengthen your ability to lead your energy instead of being led by it. Over time, it becomes automatic. You no longer depend on perfect conditions. You become the condition. You bring the energy that transforms the environment, that uplifts people around you, that creates momentum. Where there was once stagnation, there's a simple truth: energy responds to focus. Wherever your attention goes, energy flows. Focus on what's missing, what's wrong, what's broken, and your energy will collapse. Focus on what's possible, what's within your control, what's worth fighting for, and your energy will rise. This is not magic, it's biology. Your thoughts release chemicals that affect your body, your posture, your emotions. If you constantly think negative, fearful, or hopeless thoughts, your body shuts down. But if you focus on gratitude, progress, power, your body lights up. You start breathing deeper, standing taller, speaking stronger. The world hasn't changed, you have. That's the difference between people who drain energy and people who create it. The creators know that every thought is an investment, and they choose to invest in what builds them up, not what breaks them down. When you treat energy as a decision, you stop making excuses. You stop saying, I'm just not a morning person, or I don't have the energy to do that. You replace those limiting beliefs with empowering decisions like, I create my energy, and I decide how I feel. Because the moment you give away that responsibility, you give away your power. But when you take it back, when you realize that every breath, every movement, every thought can shift your energy, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who can walk into chaos and bring calm, who can walk into apathy and bring fire, who can walk into doubt and bring certainty. That's leadership. That's mastery. It's not about pretending to feel good all the time. It's about taking charge of how you respond. Life will throw challenges, stress, fatigue, but your decision to bring energy anyway is what separates you. Every time you choose to act instead of complain, to move instead of stall, to focus instead of fear, you build the muscle of energy creation. And that muscle doesn't tire, it strengthens. Energy begets energy. The more you use it, the more you have. Most people wait for the right feeling to act, but those who achieve greatness understand that action creates the feeling. When you move first, the emotion follows. When you push yourself into motion, your brain catches up. The moment you decide to bring high energy to your day begins to transform around that decision. The truth is, the energy you bring into your life determines the quality of everything you experience. Low energy creates low results. High energy creates expansion, growth, opportunity. People are drawn to those who radiate life. You've felt it before. You meet someone who's lit up from within, and you can't help but feel more alive just being near them. That's not luck or personality. That's conscious creation. They've decided to live at a higher vibration to control their energy instead of surrendering it to circumstances. You have that same power. The question is whether you'll claim it. Will you keep letting your emotions dictate your actions, or will you use your actions to dictate your emotions? When you start treating energy as a decision, your whole life begins to accelerate. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. You don't wait for Monday, the right season, the right opportunity. You bring your best to every moment and trust that the momentum will carry you. You wake up with gratitude, you move your body, you speak power into your day, and you keep your focus on progress. And even on the tough days, even when things aren't going your way, you still choose to show up with energy because that's who you've decided to be. You become your own source of power, your own motivation, your own fuel. You stop looking outward for energy and realize it's always been within you, waiting for your decision to unleash it. Win the battle against comfort every sunrise, because comfort is the silent killer of potential, the invisible wall between who you are and who you're meant to be. Every morning, before the world even tests you, there's a private war happening inside your mind. One voice whispers, stay where it's safe, stay in bed, stay the same. The other voice roars, get up, move, grow, evolve. That's the battle that defines your destiny. Most people lose it before the day even begins because comfort is seductive. It tells you that you deserve rest, that you've done enough, that tomorrow will be a better day to start. But champions know that tomorrow is an illusion. The only real power you have is now. The moment that alarm goes off, you're faced with a choice, your comfort zone or your commitment. And how you answer that choice determines the kind of person you become. Every sunrise gives you a test, and it's not about talent or luck. It's about discipline. It's about whether you're willing to do what's hard when no one's watching, whether you'll rise when it's easier to stay down. Comfort wants you average, but greatness demands struggle. You can't build resilience without resistance. You can't discover strength in stillness. Every rep in the gym, every page read, every extra hour spent in focus instead of distraction, those are all moments where you chose growth over ease. The people who live extraordinary lives aren't necessarily smarter or more gifted. They just win that tiny battle against comfort over and over again. They understand that the hardest part of the day is not the workout, not the work itself, it's getting started. It's overcoming the mind that wants to negotiate, to delay, to compromise. The comfort zone is dangerous because it feels good. It gives you the illusion of safety while quietly stealing your potential. It whispers that you're fine where you are, that there's no need to push, that small efforts are enough. But comfort never leads to greatness. Comfort never creates transformation. The moment you let it win, you stop growing. The muscles you don't challenge weaken. The dreams you don't pursue fade. The hunger you don't feed dies. Winning against comfort doesn't mean you never rest. It means you rest with purpose, not procrastination. It means you use recovery as a weapon, not an escape. Comfort becomes the enemy when it replaces your drive, when it convinces you that mediocrity is enough. Champions use discomfort as a compass. They move toward it, not away from it, because they know that's where growth lives. Every sunrise is an invitation to fight for your future. When you wake up and the bed feels warm and your mind says 5 more minutes, that's not just a small decision. It's the moment your identity is being shaped. You're teaching yourself either to give in or to rise up. The small battles compound. Every time you choose discipline, you strengthen your self-trust. You build a pattern of winning. You show yourself that you can be counted on. And that confidence, that self-respect spills into every area of life. The person who can conquer the morning can conquer anything. But the person who surrenders to comfort before the sun even rises is already behind. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to win more mornings than you lose. Every time you rise when it's hard, you're building the mindset of a warrior. There's something primal about facing discomfort head on. It awakens your fire, your focus, your fight. When you push through the urge to quit, you ignite a part of yourself that's unstoppable. You remind yourself that you're capable of more than you think. The body adapts, but the mind must be led. Every time you do something uncomfortable, whether it's waking early, pushing your limits, having the tough conversation, you expand your capacity for life. Discomfort is not punishment, it's preparation. It teaches you to operate under pressure, to stay calm in chaos, to remain relentless when others fold. Every champion has mastered the art of being comfortable with the uncomfortable. They've learned to associate pain with progress, to welcome the challenge as a signal that they're on the right path. The world rewards those who dare to be uncomfortable. Look around. Every great achievement, every invention, every movement that changed history began with someone who refused to settle. They were willing to risk failure, to face rejection, to endure struggle. Comfort tells you to stay small, to fit in, to play it safe. Growth tells you to step out, to be bold, to embrace the unknown. That's why each morning matters. It's the training ground for your spirit. If you can win the first battle of the day, the rest becomes easier. If you can break through inertia when your mind screams for ease, you train yourself to act from purpose instead of emotion. And that's the ultimate freedom. To no longer be controlled by comfort, but to control it. Winning against comfort isn't glamorous. It's quiet, repetitive, often invisible. It happens in those moments when no one claps, when there's no spotlight, when the reward is simply knowing you didn't give up. That's what separates the few from the many. Most people want success until they realize it demands sacrifice. But the few, the real warriors, they understand that the pain of discipline is temporary while the pain of regret lasts forever. They'd rather sweat in the morning than suffer at night. They know that the sting of discomfort is a sign they're alive, growing, evolving. That's why they rise before the world wakes, why they push when it's easier to rest. They've learned that the price of comfort is too high when your dreams are on the line. Every morning is a mirror of your future. When you win that first battle, your entire day starts with momentum. You've already proven to yourself that you can overcome resistance. You've set the tone. You're not chasing motivation. You've created it. That's how confidence is built, not through words, but through actions that align with your standards. The mind loves familiarity, but you have to train it to love growth more than comfort. Every time you step into discomfort, your threshold expands. The things that once felt impossible start to feel normal. That's how transformation works, not in giant leaps, but in small daily victories against the pull of ease. Comfort is the slow death of ambition. It convinces you to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling. But the perfect moment is now. The only way to create momentum is through movement. Action kills fear, and motion kills doubt. The moment you move, even when you don't feel like it, your energy shifts. The act of showing up becomes the trigger for confidence. And once you've built that habit of acting through discomfort, you stop being a prisoner of your emotions. You stop negotiating with your potential. You start living with power, with purpose, with fire. Winning the battle against comfort every sunrise isn't just about mornings. It's about building a life of strength, discipline, and direction. It's about training yourself to do what's right instead of what's easy. Because when you consistently choose the hard path, life becomes easier. But when you keep choosing the easy path, life becomes harder. Every sunrise offers a new opportunity to choose who you're going to be, the person who gives into comfort or the person who grows through it. The choice will always be there. The battle will always return, but so will your power to win it. Create momentum before the world wakes up, because momentum is the invisible force that turns small actions into unstoppable progress. It's the energy that pushes you forward when motivation fades, the rhythm that keeps you moving when the world is still asleep. Most people wake up reacting to life, checking messages, scrolling through distractions, letting the world dictate their pace. But the few who rise early with intention and clarity understand something powerful. Whoever owns the morning owns the day. Momentum doesn't wait for permission. It's built by movement, by action, by refusing to let the day catch you off guard. The early hours are where you separate from the masses, where you plant the seeds of dominance, where you create a mental and emotional edge that compounds throughout the day. When you wake up before the noise, you step into a world of clarity. The air is still, your mind is sharp, and your thoughts are your own. That quiet moment before the world wakes is your chance to set direction, to build the energy that will carry you through everything ahead. Momentum doesn't start with giant leaps. It starts with small, deliberate actions stacked on top of each other. You move your body, you focus your mind, you align your thoughts with your goals. You're not reacting, you're creating. You're shaping your day before the day shapes you. That's how champions operate. They know that by the time others are waking up, they've already won half the battles of the day. Their energy is built, their mindset is aligned, and their direction is clear. They've already chosen victory before anyone else has even begun. Momentum is powerful because it compounds. Once it's in motion, it becomes easier to stay in motion. The hardest part of any goal, any dream, any pursuit is the beginning, the resistance, the hesitation, the excuses. But if you can break through that first wall in the morning, you'll find that the rest of the day flows more easily. That's why successful people guard their mornings so fiercely. They understand that those early hours are sacred, that every distraction you allow steals not just your time, but your momentum. You can always get more time tomorrow, but you can't regain the momentum you lost today. Momentum is fragile in the beginning. It needs protection, focus, and commitment. Once it's built, though, it's nearly impossible to stop creating momentum before the world wakes up. Isn't about waking early for the sake of it. It's about building an advantage. While others are still tangled in sleep, you're already moving, thinking, creating, growing. You've stepped ahead, not because of luck, but because of discipline. The early hours give you a psychological edge. They tell your mind, I'm in control. They tell your body, we'll move with purpose. They tell your goals, I'm serious about you. That sense of control creates confidence, and confidence fuels even greater momentum. When you stack these wins day after day, week after week, you create an identity built on action instead of delay. You no longer wait for perfect timing. You become the timing. Momentum is not just physical, it's emotional and mental. When you start your day strong, your brain releases chemicals that heighten focus and drive. You feel alert, capable, alive. Every small win amplifies your belief in yourself, and that belief becomes fuel for even greater effort. You become addicted to progress, not comfort. You start to crave growth the way others crave rest, and that's when life begins to shift. The people who struggle the most are the ones who keep starting and stopping, pushing and pausing, building and breaking momentum. But those who rise early and move forward consistently learn the rhythm of progress. They stop fighting their energy and start directing it. They build a flow state that carries through their work, their mindset, and their relationships. When you create momentum early, challenges lose their weight. The stress that normally derails you becomes manageable because you've already built emotional strength before the day began. You've already grounded yourself, already gained clarity, already fed your body and mind what they need to perform. You don't walk into the day hoping to survive, you walk in ready to lead. You operate from power instead of panic. You've already won the hardest battle getting started, and that single act gives you an undeniable advantage. The world moves fast, but momentum makes you faster. It gives you the energy to handle setbacks, the focus to stay locked in, and the resilience to finish strong. There's something deeply transformative about moving before the world does. It's a statement of ownership. It says, I'm not waiting for the day to define me. I'm defining the day. Those early hours belong to you. There are no messages, no demands, no noise, just you and your goals. That space is where you build alignment between who you are and who you want to be. You can reflect, plan, and prepare with intention. You can visualize success before anyone else is even aware of the opportunity. By the time others start reacting, you've already acted. That's what gives you the edge. You're not running behind, you're leading from the front. You've created your own wave of energy, and now the day has to catch up with you. Creating momentum also builds trust with yourself. When you say you'll wake early, when you say you'll act with purpose, and you follow through, your mind begins to believe you. You stop doubting your own words. You start feeling unstoppable because you know you can rely on you. That self-trust is the foundation of momentum. The more consistent you are, the faster you move. The faster you move, the stronger your confidence grows. It becomes a cycle of progress, discipline feeding belief, belief fueling action, action generating results. Before long, you're not forcing discipline. It's become who you are. You've rewired your identity from hesitant to decisive, from reactive to proactive, from sluggish to unstoppable. The truth is, most people lose their momentum not because they lack ability, but because they never get started with power. They wake up distracted, scattered, half awake to their potential. They let their mornings slip through their fingers, and by noon, they're already behind. You can't lead a day you didn't start strong. Momentum is built when you take control early, when you decide what matters most and attack it with energy. Even small actions, writing down your goals, moving your body, practicing gratitude, create ripples of motion that multiply through the day. The key is consistency. You can't create momentum once and expect it to last. It's a living force that must be fed daily. Every morning you win is another brick in the foundation of your momentum. There's also an emotional dimension to early momentum. When you start your day ahead, you carry a quiet pride. You know you've done something most people won't. That pride turns into presence. You walk taller, think clearer, speak with conviction. You don't seek validation because you already earned your own respect before anyone was watching. That inner fire radiates through everything you do. People can feel it. Opportunities start to find you, not because you're lucky, but because you've raised your vibration to match success. Momentum makes you magnetic. It pulls you forward and draws the right people and circumstances into your path. You become a force that can't be ignored. The beauty of momentum is that it doesn't care how you start. It only cares that you start. Whether it's 5 minutes of stillness, 10 minutes of movement, or a simple decision to get up with purpose, that initial push begins the chain reaction. The small actions matter more than the perfect plan. Don't underestimate the power of early movement. The moment you decide to move, to create, to lead, you've already separated yourself from the world that's still asleep. You've already stepped into a higher standard. Momentum rewards the committed, not the comfortable. It amplifies the effort of those who act while others hesitate. And once you've built it, it will carry you farther than motivation ever could. Don't react to the day. Design it, because the difference between drifting and dominating lies in intention. Most people wake up and instantly hand over control of their lives. They open their phones, check their messages, scroll through other people's priorities before even touching their own. They spend the rest of the day reacting to traffic, to problems, to moods, to the noise of the world. But those who live with purpose, those who lead their lives instead of being led by them, do something entirely different. They design their day before the world can claim it. They decide what matters, where their energy goes, and what kind of person they will be before the chaos begins. That's what separates the achievers from the overwhelmed, the focus from the scattered, the creators from the reactors. The day doesn't control them because they've already built the blueprint for how it will unfold. When you design your day, you're not just making a schedule. You're creating a map for your focus, your energy, and your emotions. You're taking charge of your state before the world takes charge of it for you. The truth is, every single day brings a storm of distractions. Emails, calls, obligations, noise, it's endless. But when you begin your day with clarity, when you know what you're building and why, those distractions lose their power. You don't get pulled into chaos because you've already anchored yourself in purpose. You've already defined the path, so when life throws detours, you adjust without losing direction. That's the essence of personal leadership, to move through the day as its architect, not its passenger. The world respects those who move with vision, not those who drift with reaction. Designing your day begins with presence. Before you let the world in, you take a few moments to align your mind with your mission. You ask yourself, what's the outcome I want today? Who do I want to be as I move through this day? That question alone changes everything. It shifts you from reacting to creating. It reminds you that your emotions don't have to be slaves to circumstance. You get to choose how you feel, how you respond, how you show up. The people who seem unshakable, focused, unstoppable, they're not lucky. They've trained themselves to design their state before they design their schedule. They understand that mindset comes first. You can't build a powerful day with a disorganized mind. The first thing you build every morning isn't your to-do list. It's your emotional blueprint. When you wake up and move through your morning with intention, you send a signal to your subconscious that you're in charge. That sense of control changes your physiology. You breathe deeper, think clearer, and act faster. You stop operating from survival mode and start operating from creation mode. That's where your best ideas, best actions, and best energy live. You can't design your best life from a reactive mindset. You have to rise above the noise and create from clarity. The problem is that too many people confuse being busy with being productive. They chase tasks instead of outcomes. They confuse motion with progress. But when you design your day, you work with precision. Every action has meaning. Every hour has intention. You stop wasting time on what doesn't move the needle and start investing energy where it truly matters. Think of your day as a masterpiece. You're the artist, and every decision is a brushstroke. If you let others choose the colors, the painting won't look like yours. But when you take control, when you decide how your day will look and feel, you create something that reflects your purpose. That's why planning with emotion and vision is so powerful. It gives your actions context. You're not just working, you're fulfilling a mission. You're not just moving, you're progressing towards something meaningful. That sense of meaning gives your day energy, and energy creates momentum. You begin to operate at a level most people never touch because you're not reacting. You're orchestrating. Designing your day also means protecting your focus. Focus is your most valuable currency. Every distraction steals a piece of your potential. Every unnecessary reaction drains your momentum. You have to learn to guard your attention like a treasure because it determines the quality of your results. The more you let your attention scatter, the weaker your impact becomes. But when you're intentional about your focus, when you decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't, your power multiplies. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. When you look at high performers, you'll notice they don't try to do everything. They prioritize the things that make everything else easier or unnecessary. That's design. It's precision over chaos, clarity over clutter. When you stop reacting to the day, you stop letting your emotions be hijacked by circumstance. You start to lead your emotions instead of being led by them. Someone cuts you off in traffic, a problem shows up at work, a plan falls apart, and instead of spiraling, you respond with strength because you've already decided how you'll show up. You've already visualized yourself calm, focused, in control. You've already designed your emotional resilience before the test arrived. That's why the people who design their days seem unfazed by chaos. It's not that they don't face it. It's that they've prepared for it. They've rehearsed their mindset. They've anchored themselves so deeply in purpose that the outside world can't shake their foundation. Designing your day isn't about controlling every outcome. It's about mastering your approach. You can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond, how you interpret, and how you act. That's the essence of power, to respond with intention instead of impulse. It's about deciding ahead of time that no matter what comes, you'll stay aligned with your standards, your values, your vision. Because when you design from that place, life stops feeling like a storm and starts feeling like a dance. You begin to move with flow instead of friction. You stop waiting for good days and start creating them. Every morning becomes an opportunity to architect your attitude, your energy, your focus. The reason most people never reach their true potential is because they live on autopilot. They wake up and fall straight into reaction mode. They spend their energy managing problems instead of creating solutions. But you can't build an extraordinary life from a reactive state. You have to interrupt the pattern. You have to pause long enough to design the direction of your energy. Ask yourself each morning, what will I create today? How will I show up? What will make today extraordinary? The answers to those questions become your compass. They help you move through the noise with clarity, purpose, and strength. You stop being a slave to circumstance and start becoming the architect of your experience. Designing your day is an act of self-respect. It says, my life matters too much to leave it to chance. It's a commitment to live by choice, not by default. It's a declaration that you are not here to drift, you are here to direct. When you live this way, every action feels deliberate, every hour feels valuable, every challenge feels like part of the design. You begin to notice opportunities you used to miss because you're no longer buried in reaction. Your energy rises, your productivity multiplies, your confidence deepens. You move through the world with purpose, not panic, with calm, not chaos, with creation, not confusion. And in that shift, you stop living the same day on repeat and start designing the life you were always meant to lead.